Christmas cast, it's a Christmas cast. Yes, it should have gone up earlier, but I was busy with family stuff. Christmas cast, it's a Christmas cast. We watch a Netflix film in the earlier part of the month and then didn't put it up till now. Yeah, Christmas! Jim's not going to be on the podcast because he's a coward!
Well, I suppose I could, if you think it would add value if you trying to explain the film to someone.
If you want to hear the gripping story that we have to tell, Jim, then you should maybe stay here. Or don't. Welcome back to Hurd Ya Saw! Christmas edition, hopefully, if I've timed this right with the episodes that we have stocked up. I'm your host, Nick. I'm joined by my sister, Zoe.
Hello!
Housemate, Callum.
Hi.
It's not really Christmas spirit there, Callum.
I'm not. Just don't make me shout.
Come on!
No.
Okay. And also, Jim is here.
Hi. I didn't see the film.
And we have just finished watching Netflix's Christmas movie, The Princess Switch. We begin as ever with a round of one-line hot takes. Callum, one-line hot take of the movie.
Can you believe it?
Zoe, one-line hot take?
Catfishing.
Yes.
Problematic catfishing.
Problematic catfishing indeed. And my one-line hot take is, who the fuck was that old man? So, we're gonna, as a team, briefly lay out the premise, or even major plot points, for this film. This is a movie starring
Vanessa Hudgens.
in the role of
Vanessa Hudgens.
Of Margaret and Stacy.
Yes, Stacy is a Chicago baker, a very good Chicago baker. But she just really needs to learn to be a little more spontaneous.
Yeah, it's basically so. Vanessa Hudgens is a baker in Chicago with her high school best friend who she has not fucked, which is important.
He's very handsome. And
he's
ripped.
He's fucking shredded.
And they run an absurdly lavish, successful bakery in downtown Chicago, apparently entirely by themselves.
And the kid daughter.
Kevin has a daughter who is the worst child actor in the entire world.
Did we ever learn her name?
Yeah. Yeah, they say it early on.
Do they?
Because when she runs in, they really badly introduce every character.
Oh yeah, the expositionary dialogue is amazing.
Should we christen her something for?
Deborah. Hope.
Spirit.
Yeah, let's go for
Can we call her Joy? Because she was really the heart of the movie.
Yeah, let's call her Joy.
Okay,
so yeah,
Joy.
Kevin has a daughter who's not called Joy, but we're going to call her Joy. Off screen, before lots of things have happened off screen.
Which we're caught up with very rapidly.
Which we're caught up with very rapidly
yes.
in a really tacky expositional scene. Vanessa Hudgens entered a baking contest in the fictional country of Belgravia.
Belgravia,
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. Everywhere in this fictional Eastern European nation where everyone has English accents is named after places in London.
There's the Wembley Studios.
There are already places called that.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
When they first said Belgravia, we were like, this is a fake place, right? I was like, I think it's a place in London. And then it does the establishing shot of Belgravia, and it's like, we're trying to be Switzerland.
Sort of.
But
it's clearly Croatia or something because of the tax breaks. It must just be. And then she gets accepted into this baking she can compete in a baking contest in Belgravia, which is apparently televised worldwide and is a big deal.
The biggest of baking deals.
But no Mary Berry.
No Mary Berry in sight.
Yeah, exactly. Which I feel like she'd have done this.
Yeah.
She's not busy anymore. Well, yeah, exactly. Maybe she'd have to fly to Croatia.
For a half second, I thought you meant that she was dead.
She's not busy, so maybe
anymore.
that's as good as.
She's animated by the power of soggy bottoms.
We should probably mention as well, Kevin is a single parent.
Yes.
And his partner left him. And also there's fucking Paul.
Yeah, there's Paul. Stacey's ex, who
is just apparently horrible.
Yeah.
Never established how or why.
He broke her heart
That's all we've got.
The only evidence that we have that he's a dick, although I don't think the movie frames it this way, the movie just sees it as convenient, is that immediately after the contest, she says, I'm not going to do the baking contest because I don't do spontaneous. That's the line.
Her character trait is, I go by the rules.
Despite the fact she entered this thing months ago, it all seems very above board and official, like it all seems fine, but she doesn't do spontaneous, so she won't go. She then walks out of her bakery and
meets an old man.
Oh, she meets an old man.
The old man.
Meets an old.
That's the key. The thing is, it's like the old man is perhaps more of a plot point than you would think, because he's all like, "Hey, do you have any Christmas wishes that you'd like to come true?" And she's like, "Oh, haha, none, or something. I don't know. Nah."
No, she says basically something along the lines of like, "I just wish I had something to spend Christmas with." And he goes, "Christmas wishes have a way of coming true." And then she's like, "Go away." And then she keeps walking down the street. And then the next door she bumps into is Paul walking out of a coffee shop or something with his new girlfriend. And I guess this is how we know that Paul's a dick, because he brought his new girlfriend to a place 2 doors down from the business that his ex started.
But also he proceeds to snog his girlfriend in front of Vanessa.
Right, it's almost creepy and stalkery. Like, imagine the conversation you have with the new girlfriend after. She was like, "Did you take me to the where she works so you can make out with me in front of it?"
Well, the bit where Stacey's like, "Oh, I'm Stacey DeNovo. Paul must have mentioned me," and Becky or whatever her fucking name is just like, "No, should he have?" And genuinely looks a bit confused, and Paul's like, "Oh, this is awkward.
Yeah.
Just like I dreamed it."
Ha ha ha. And then, so like all of this is not really
This is all preamble.
Yeah.
So we go to Belgravia.
Yeah. Oh no, because Paul says, "What are you doing for the holidays?" And she goes, "I'm going to a cookery contest in Belgravia." And instead of saying, "What the fuck is Belgravia?" Do you mean Belgravia, London? And then they're just like, "Ooh, fancy." And then she's like, "Yeah." So now they're going to Belgravia because she can't lie to Paul.
No.
So then they go.
I mean, this entire situation is predicated on the fact I can't let my ex see that I lied. Gotta go to Belgravia and do some social media work to prove that I was here so he feels bad and misses me.
Right, and then they go to, there's a thing that may become a recurring theme, is that so Kevin, who, for those of you keeping track at home, is the childhood friend that Vanessa Hudgens runs her bakery with. He has a daughter.
Yes.
She's
Joy.
Yeah.
Joy is played by the most spectacularly bad child actor
It's
I've
amazing.
seen in a long time. When she gives Vanessa Hudgens the letter and she opens it, she says, "A cooking contest on Belgravia." She responds with the line, "Can you believe it?"
Which also features in the trailer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the
little Netflix pre-show.
Yeah, if you hover your cursor over this, which is probably...
Which I'm sure you will.
Which is really the best way to watch this movie, just hovering your cursor over it, but not watching it.
You'll get the essentials.
It's also like, actually, the one thing I like
Should I do that?
Yeah, you can do it. You'll catch up on every important...
Sorry, what was the name of this film?
The Princess Switch.
There it is!
It's right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
Hey, boss. You know the Christmas baking contest you're always talking about?
Uh-huh.
Ta-da!
The royal family of Belgravia invites you to compete in our Christmas baking competition.
Can you believe it?
amazing.
Just...
Okay, that's enough.
Yeah.
So yeah, I also like I think like you could listen to this and be like, this movie's obviously intended to be like a fluffy Christmas rom-com. Why he's just like talking about it being horrible about half an hour. I would say it is very possible to do this kind of movie well. This movie is called, like, there is a movie called, admittedly not a Christmas movie, but there is a made-for-Netflix rom-com called To All the Boys I Loved Before, and it is a legitimately fantastic film.
Yeah, I
is-
saw you watching that.
Yeah,
you
it
enjoyed
is
it.
great.
Yeah.
It was very possible to do this movie well, so they've fallen short, so it's okay to be mean about it.
So they land in Belgravia and they're going to get set up when there's like an evil bakeress, female baker who
ends up not being as important as you necessarily thought she would be.
Yeah, I kind of thought she was going to do more, but she's just sort of there and kind of fucks with Stacey a little bit, but it's not really
Well,
necessary.
the important thing is that she purposely spills her drink on Stacey's apron.
Yes,
So
yeah.
Stacey has to leave the room.
To change the apron, because of course you can't have an apron with stains on it.
I mean, like, that sort of defeats the purpose of what an apron is
Exactly.
for.
It must
Which
be
is to
immaculate.
remain clean whilst cooking.
Presumably there was a cut scene where Kevin got very upset that this oven was so hot and threw it away. Because that's
This
not
freezer has turned my water into ice!
So as she's walking out, Stacey literally bumps into
Her own face.
the Duchess Margaret of
Moldova.
No, not Moldova.
Mardavan?
I
No,
think it's
Belgravia.
no, she's
No,
not from
she's
Belgravia.
from,
She's
like-
from a visiting other state.
Was it another major
I
country?
never even noticed
Yeah,
that.
no, she's
Where-
from like Moldova.
Monterore or
Hold
something.
on, I'm bringing up the Wikipedia page.
How can there already be a wiki page for this film?
Duchess of Montenaro.
That's the
Montenaro. And wouldn't you
Is
know
that a
it?
type of-
So basically they said like, oh, we can't call it Montenegro, so they're like, what if we called it
And
and
you should mention she's very, very, very British.
she's, oh yeah, we'll get to her accent, but wouldn't you know it, turns out that Margaret of Montenaro is also played by Vanessa Hudgens.
Gosh.
And so they have the same face. And now I think you can see where this is going, dear listener, that we're going into a Princess and the Baker situation. Let's
Someone
switch.
call Lindsay Lohan.
We're going to do a switcheroo Parent Trap style because
Yeah.
she's due to marry Prince Edward
Edward
of
of
Belgravia on New Year's Day and wants to live at least a few days as a normal girl.
Well, you should probably mention that their marriage is an arranged marriage.
Yeah, they've
and
met
they've only
twice.
met twice before.
Yeah.
So she's like.
She's
"Right."
not sure on. So that's the setup. I'm sure we'll go into more spoiler-tastic aspects of this film. So, Callum, what did you make of this movie?
So I think that this is just such a sometimes because obviously Netflix makes everything by the algorithm more than any other streaming service, and sometimes there are films that Netflix makes where you just I'm like sometimes you're just like why did they make and they're normally the good ones, the ones where you're like why did they make this and then suddenly it actually turns out to be great because the algorithm has like drilled into our the top of our spine and has figured out our deepest needs.
The
and
public
what-
consciousness is like, yes, this is what I wanted secretly
Yeah.
all along.
Exactly, like congratulations, you literally have read my mind, and it's frightening, but also feels so good.
Indeed.
And then there are the ones where you can see that the machine is like, make sci-fi films about young women with white hair, and then the executives at Netflix are like, okay, there's the cult show about the girl with white hair, and then we'll buy this movie at Sundance which has Rooney Mara in it, and she's got white hair, and that's a sci-fi movie, which they literally did, and then they both came out at the same time on Netflix, and they were both not very good. And this is one where you can see that it's gone, people like Bake Off. People like princesses. People like rom-coms. And they've just been like, put them together in equal measure. And then the people have just been like, and also make it for £5. And then they've just been like, okay, great, let's do that. And then the only other conversation was had about this movie was, Vanessa Hudgens will do it. Can she do a British accent? No.
No.
Oh well.
No. It wasn't no. It's like, can she do a British accent? She went, I think you'll find clearly I can. And everyone was like, close enough.
Yeah. And no one in the room was senior enough to shut down Vanessa
Well,
Hudgens.
so considering that their thinking process was, we'll invent a country that's like Britain but not Britain, and we'll call it Belgravia because we don't give a fuck if anyone notices. We're actually not expecting anyone will. The fact that someone has a dodgy British accent feels like, yeah, that's not a problem.
Well, the amusing conceit is that you have Margaret with Vanessa Hudgens doing her best genuine fake British accent, and then you have Stacey as Margaret, played by Vanessa Hudgens, doing herself doing an impression, a bad impression of her own bad British accent. So it's like, there are layers to this level of like, I like to ride horses, and I always knew that I would find love in a toy store.
Yeah, it's just
What?
like... yeah, I feel
There's a whole
like
sequence in a toy store. We'll get to that.
the movie's just... it's not like I sort of normally quite like this kind of thing, and it's so like it's so expositional. Scenes go nowhere. The tone like misfires horribly in a way I can't quite think of. Like it's not. It's like it's unreal, but not unreal enough to like justify the nonsense of all the things you just said. Like fictional country, we don't give a fuck if it's real. The accents, so on and so forth. I feel like there's a part of me that thinks, well, is it aimed at children? But I think children would be bored by this film. Like, I think they would.
I think that's. Would you agree with that? I think there's not really enough going on, really.
Well, I was gonna say, like, I think they obviously came up with a premise, or using the algorithm, which I quite liked as a vision.
You mean the algorithm of putting like
Bake
things people
Off.
like on a dartboard
Yeah,
and throwing darts
yeah,
at
literally.
it?
And they were like, we need a Christmas film. We'll just put in some Christmas music in a Christmas tree. Other than that,
Right.
it has nothing to do with Christmas.
Yeah.
Particularly.
Yeah.
But I think.
It is a Christmas movie in as much as Die Hard is a
Yeah,
Christmas movie.
I think they definitely.
Die Hard is the perfect Christmas movie.
It is.
They,
I agree.
they could have put some more effort into the script. I mean, probably about 5 minutes of the entire film was made up with overly long applause.
Yes.
Which was a recurring feature in the film.
There's
where
a
the
one-
characters would just clap.
There's a
Yeah.
wonderful sequence where Stacy, as Margaret, is at a ball with Prince Edward, and wouldn't you know it, Margaret is an accomplished pianist, and the King and Queen are like, why don't you play some music, Margaret? And she's like, oh, I will certainly play you. I'm terribly rusty. And she sits down and like is freaking out, and then Edward's like, we'll play the Christmas bells. These are the chords, and she's like, oh. So then they play the Christmas. You're like, do 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 do, which is not a very complex song, and then the crowd begins to applause,
It's literally like 2 minutes.
Well, that.
and then the crowd is still applauding.
But also, there are just things that make no sense.
We're
like,
crowding out, but they're still applauding, Callum. They played Christmas bells
Yeah, it was.
together
Yeah, the applause is a weird
on a
motion.
piano.
This movie's like, if you added a few more things, this is like an Adult Swim production. Like, it goes from like Adult Swim Genius to... Because also that scene... Because actually what happens in the scene is the sequence of events is... Vanessa Hudgens, pretending to be Princess Margaret, is at this party. Prince Edward says, you play the piano. And then she's like, no, I don't. And he's like, go on, play the fucking piano. And even if it really is her, and she can play the
Play
piano,
the fucking piano.
she obviously doesn't want to.
But then the
And she's
king's like,
no.
who wants to hear the piano be played? Everyone's like, the king said piano. Yeah, piano! More applause.
Yeah,
Copious applause.
because everyone's like, quickly, he kills dissidents. Like,
There's one person saying, actually, I don't care for the piano.
yeah, exactly. He gets sent off to a camp.
Frank
for
the incel
3
takes
family
him.
generations. Oh yeah, Frank the incel. But then when they're playing the piano, the Prince Edward is like, oh, let me like show you how to play a shit tune really quickly. But it frames it as him saving her, but it's like,
does.
you created this problem, Edward. And like there are plot threads that go nowhere. Joy wants to be a ballerina, and
We never see that.
yeah, we're told that the princess is going to sponsor her to be a ballerina, but that's never wrapped up. There's just it's just like messy. The editing's really off. There are scenes that just linger at the end.
They do.
Like, yeah, there's like the scene where they finish teaching each other to be a princess and a normal person.
Which you thought at first was a montage.
Because it started off as a montage. It shows one very quick thing, and then it shows them teaching each other to walk like a posh person and like a normal person. But then that just goes on for 5 minutes.
Like, way too long.
Yeah, like really, really long. So it's like,
With Christmas music over the top.
yeah.
As well, implying that it's still a montage. Then being like, haha, I'm walking like this, but you walk like this. It's like a fucking, it's like a Chris Rock bit. Like, what are you talking about?
It was the walk was like Chris Rock bit walk, and then at the end of the scene they make a joke that makes each other laugh, and it just lingers for ages, and it doesn't. It's inexcusable. There are editors everywhere that could do a better job than that. Like, there are editors working in pornography who know those cuts and know that you hit that timing to exit a scene at the end of the. I'm just like, who did this? Like, it was so messy and awful and like a waste of. if you've got the money to get Vanessa Hudgens, you've got the money to do a better job than this.
For your
And it was
it's
irritating.
Netflix. They have all of the money.
I realised we forgot to explain an important plot point.
Which one?
Edward was meant to be going to Spain.
Oh yes,
So
yes.
the intention was
But
never...
Spain's a real country.
He has to go on a.
So Chicago.
He has to go on a.
Chicago's real.
He's like, I've got.
But the whole intention was poor Vanessa Hudgens was not meant to hang out with Edward.
Yeah.
But he was like, oh, I've been a terrible husband. I'm going to
Fiancé,
stay.
yeah.
And she was like, oh, thank you. and the whole intention was she was just meant to chill and be a princess, and hijinks
Ensued. Yeah.
Whereas rich Vanessa Hudgens had a whale all the time.
She did, getting all up on Kevin's attractive,
Six-pack.
his wildly shredded bod.
Yeah.
And being like, I'll be your new mother, Joy.
Oh yeah.
She does ask Santa for a new mum.
One of the conceits of this film that is just a bit upsetting though, which we were all like, oh no, is poor Kevin, #pray for Kevin. Because
Yeah,
he's
he has a
always
rough
clearly
time.
had a crush on his Vanessa Hudgens co-worker and friend who he's known for like 12 years, and since he's been a single dad, he's not dated anyone, probably because he's, trying to claw his way out of the friend zone.
And Joy's trying to ship them together as
Yeah.
well.
Well, I don't think that he has clearly had a crush on her. Because actually, if you think about it, he shows no signs of that at all. I thought he was her brother from like the on-screen acting
But he's
for ages.
black.
Yeah, good point. I don't know. I just thought it was like I was just from the way their interaction was, and then the way he was talking to her about the boyfriend. I was just like, well, I guess they could be friends, but like rom-coms like this are so heteronormative that like they would be like female friends. No. So I was like, okay, he must be family member or romantic interest.
But
One
he is-
or never the twain shall.
But
Yeah.
Joy says to him, is like, you're crushing so hard on Stacey.
But it only feels like I saw that in anyone's performance after Joy was like, you two should bone, and then he was like, thanks, dear.
Way to wingman me, daughter.
Yeah.
That's what I raised you to do.
Exactly. Like I feel like she puts the idea in his head, and then he's like, "Oh, that is a good idea," and
Yeah.
it's never occurred. Like, there's not a scene where he sort of, that he gives any hint of that beforehand. I'm not like, yes, I'm sure in the script that was meant to be
But all
there.
of this happens in the first 3 minutes.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. But so the thing is that Kevin, whether he's had these long-held feelings or not, he thinks he's falling in love with a person that he's known for most of his adult life. And then they have the moment where it gets to him and Margaret, disguised as Stacey, actually make out.
And that's also the scene where they watch last year's Netflix Christmas special on
They did.
Netflix.
Oh,
and
yeah.
they watch A Christmas Prince.
There's like the best bit of self-promotion ever, which is they, Princess,
Duchess Margaret
Duchess Margaret of
of Montanaro.
She watches a film with Kevin. She has never seen a film before.
She's like, I want to watch the Christmas movie with Santa in it.
Yeah,
Right.
that's what she said.
Yeah, she does say those words. And then they watch.
Rich people don't watch films.
They
you
watch A
understand.
Christmas Prince, which was Netflix last year's Christmas rom-com.
Yeah, they
And
watch.
I've actually seen it.
But also,
Is it any good?
Is it better than this?
Did we watch that?
It is a little bit better, I think.
Would it reduce you to tears to watch it? Oh.
No. I think it's a pretty similar plot.
Is there a secret prince who changes places with a?
It's a woman who
She's a
sneaks
journalist.
Into, no, she's not. She's pretending to be a journalist for some reason. I don't remember. Oh no, she was a journalist, but then she accidentally gets hired as
The nanny.
the crippled child's nanny.
Yeah.
First, I was going to make a joke like, isn't this just the plot to 50 Shades of Grey? They're like, no, she's a nanny took. I'm like, oh, okay, that's a different.
Yeah, but it's a similar plot. She's pretending to be someone she's not. She falls in love with the prince, and then has to be like, oh, I'm actually a poor person.
So we can see that the algorithm is just all
Yeah,
like, yeah, this mate, this
It
is
is
what.
also another fictional quasi-European country
Yeah.
where they're all British for some reason.
Apart from the main character,
Yeah,
who lives in America.
Yeah, the Netflix algorithm is just saying like, exploit subscribers' complicated love-hate relationship with wealth and monarchy.
We enjoy pageantry, but also seize the means of production.
Yeah, it's
What was that one called? I want to find out what the country was.
Secret
Christmas
Prince.
No, it's a Christmas Prince, I
The
think.
Christmas. Oh god.
So basically, it ends as one might expect, with them realising that they're both in love with each other's respective persons in their lives.
Yeah.
And she wins the baking competition. Spoilers of,
You
fucking who
completely
cares?
missed out the old man.
Oh yeah, the old
for
man.
5 minutes.
So, the old man from Chicago, who seemed to be just a Christmas spirit
But
kind of guy.
He speaks with an English accent.
Sorry.
In
What Christmas spirit?
well, because he does an American accent in Chicago, and then his accent changes when he gets to.
But then they get to Belgravia, and
He just appears everywhere.
he just appears all over the place, subtly influencing events to presumably make destiny happen. And it's never really explained.
We said like 2 minutes in, oh, that's her dad.
Yeah.
We just assumed that he would be the missing link that meant the two Vanessa Hudgenses were related.
We never find out how that they're related by cousin Cecil.
Yeah, who apparently abdicated and ran off with somebody from America called Genova, which might be a vague reference to isn't Genovia the fake European country from the Princess Diaries?
Yes.
Huh.
Okay.
You know, and then they're like, oh, Genova, de novo, that's like
Also,
similar.
that is the plot of Princess Diaries. He abdicates.
And it fucking was, wasn't it?
It literally is the plot.
Oh my god, it's the plots of the...
But
So
this
it's
is the
trying to make
aftermath.
itself part of a shared universe.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, is this the fucking Netflix Princesses cinematic universe? Because... But then the Christmas Prince exists as a fictional piece of media in the You know what this means? Next year, we're gonna have to watch the next Netflix Prince royalty-centric Christmas movie and try and spot the link to...
Where Belgravia declares war on... Hold on, what was the nation in the last... Was Aldovia?
Genovia.
No, Genovia is Princess Diaries.
Oh.
Aldovia
He's been Googling
is the Christmas Prince.
Oh,
So
and Montanaro is...
Okay, so we need to start like actually drawing the map.
What
of
does
fake
Europe look like? Yeah.
And like Spain is there apparently.
But here's the thing.
Spain and Chicago.
Did World War II happen in this timeline?
Well, clearly it did because Europe has gone to even more fuck than it had before.
But also, like, where are the room for all these things? Because it seems like everything we have exists. Is it like the Earth in the DC universe, where it's a little bit bigger, so there's room for more stuff? Or is there just like no? Is like
No, it's just
Europe bigger
like
and there's like
America?
no?
America is the same, but then the rest of the world is Europe.
Well, do you know what I think in this universe? I think Russia is just full of more little European countries.
Yeah.
Just like it's chopped up into teeny tiny bits and they all fit in there and that's enough. They can make like Netflix films for like 20 years. With that information.
And they've still
with
got
all the-
British accents.
Yeah.
All the nations on the Christmas Peninsula.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. I figured out. Well, the reason they're all British is because in this timeline, the British Empire didn't fall until much later.
Yeah.
So they influenced all of
It's
them culturally.
It's all an insidious alternate history.
Yeah, where like colonialism like never really went away. And after World War II, we didn't give up the remains of the British Empire because we beat them worse. So this is the thing. This timeline is where we beat the Nazis even harder than they got beat in the real
Does
Second
that
World
mean no
War.
Brexit?
It could mean no Brexit. Oh, if they do Christmas Brexit.
Well,
next
only
year.
because we
it's
own
really
everything
Britain.
by insidious means. So
We don't even know that there's a Britain.
That's true.
It's never been referenced.
It's never been referenced.
All we know is there's Spain, Chicago.
Well, I sort of feel that there necessarily has to not be a Britain because what they really want to do is tell stories about the British royal family because
Yeah.
that's what Americans like eat up for breakfast. But they can't do that.
Well,
That means
no.
Britain must not exist
But
in
it,
this universe.
but it, no, it does.
Oh, it
Because
does?
Stacey mentions Downton Abbey
She does.
in the Princess
Yeah.
Switch.
But is
Margaret.
is Downton
Is
Abbey set in Britain?
Yes, because
Or is it set in
Oh.
some other
Is it-
weird fake European
Is it set
semi-British
in
country?
Belgravia because everyone is English? They'd be like, that's a very Downton Abbey accent.
yeah, and Vanessa and then Princess Montagne is upset because she's like, oh, everyone thinks it's like Downton Abbey here in Belgravia, but it's not.
Well, she's not even from. She's from Montanaro,
Wow.
which is
I'm
like
not-
a principality, I suppose.
I know you've given me that information 3 times. Like, every time I try to get my brain
well,
to
also you
process it,
keep
it just sort of
referring
goes,
to her. You keep referring to her as a princess as
As
well.
princess,
I'm not
she's
correcting
a
the
duchess. I mean, like, did you even watch the movie, Callum?
I mean, I was playing Switch at the time. It's called the Princess Switch. So, It was an instruction.
So, I think that's a good place to jump to final thoughts.
Yes.
Mirroring, Callum, you've not been on my podcast before, have you?
No.
Mirroring the one-line hot takes, final thoughts is you just give like a little one-line summation of your feelings on the film after the discussion that has happened. What are your final thoughts on The Princess Switch?
The film isn't nearly as good as it should be, considering the budget, resources, and time people are going to put into watching this, because they will. Lots of people will watch this.
Well,
Algorithm must be fed.
Yeah. So I just think they could have done a better job. Don't watch it. Watch To All the Boys I've Loved Before and Wear a Christmas Hat while you're doing it.
Hey.
That's basically
Jim?
Well, when I first walked in, as you were literally applauding the film as it finished, because
There was a lot of applause
yeah,
in
I
this
think
movie.
you just wanted to join in.
Yeah.
I was debating, should I sit in the room as you record this podcast because I have nothing to offer? I actually now feel that I have the way I've enjoyed this film is the best way to enjoy this film.
yeah.
Is to not watch it but hear other people recount it. And so I feel like I have already gathered everything that I could possibly enjoy about this film in the past 20 minutes.
Nice.
Good.
Zoe?
Well, actually, I just wanted to hold a couple of minutes silence in memory of Vanessa Hudgens' career.
Oh.
What in hell happened? We went from High School Musical to that.
I mean, she's probably
I
getting
can see
good
the
money.
And she had a wobbly moment in Drag Race, so...
She was in Drag Race?
She was a judge on it, and, like,
Oh.
this was, like, recent Drag Race, and she, unfortunately, came out with the sentence, I'm just so into voguing right now. And,
Oh,
that's
why everyone says it on the game.
yeah, and, like, the community was just, like,
Sorry.
it
who?
became a meme.
Like
In the, like, average sort of straight white girl, like, oh, I'm so into voguing. And now she's done this, so I just feel a bit sad, really.
She's got a week.
But other than that, I'd give it like a 10-minute long applause. It was
The customary Belgravian 10 minutes of applause.
Yeah.
You know, nothing
Yeah.
too wild. Just 10 minutes of
Yeah.
polite clapping.
About my highlight of the film.
stumps.
You'll clap or you'll be taken off to the camps.
But yeah, I think
Your highlight, sorry.
Yeah, it was worth watching. I got to see Kevin's abs.
We all got to see Kevin's abs.
Prince Edward's weird hairline.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
I will say on the I will break the rules to one more thing. On
You're
the worst idea of all
rules.
time.
How dare you?
The worst idea of all time, which is it's a podcast where they watch.
First one was Grown Ups 2.
Yeah, they every season they watch a terrible movie 54 times, so they watch it once a week for a year.
Yeah.
The first year was Grown Ups 2, second year was Sex and the City 2, third year was We Are No Friends. And in that they have a thing every week called The Shining Light, but they have to say a nice thing about the movie.
Yeah.
So I will say a nice thing about this movie, which is when Prince Edward
Yes,
and
you
Vanessa
commented on
Hudgens
this, yeah.
go to a toy shop
Oh yeah.
to buy toys, because there's an orphanage that Prince Edward's family oversees.
Funds.
They
fund
fund it, but
yeah.
they've never visited.
Yeah, they fund it, but they've never visited.
Does it go into details of how many orphanages are exploitative and you probably shouldn't fund them? Is that...
No.
No.
Of course.
They should probably
It's
visit.
run by a
They should
little
probably find
Scottish
out.
woman, so...
Oh, okay. Well, that must be harmless.
And so they go there and they find out that the children don't have the budget for presents. So they're like, so instead of saying maybe as a royal family we should pay taxes, and, we should give more money to the state, we really shouldn't be in charge at all. Like there are lots of ways to raise the lives of these people. They go, but woke Vanessa Hudgens says, let's get presents for the children, and that will solve this, and then you'll be a good monarch. And then the prince is like, I don't know. And then she's like, no, do it. And then he's like, oh, you crazy bird, let's do it. And then they go to a toy shop, and there is a moment where we learn that
The Toy Emporium, no
Oh,
less.
sorry, the Toy Emporium. Where we learn that Prince Edward never had toys growing up because his parents didn't want them to have them. And there are two great bits. One, where Vanessa Hudgens, in a obviously terrible bit of acting, so they're playing with toy laser guns, and she says, what's wrong with fighting an alien invasion? And he says, probably best to approach it with diplomacy first. And I'm like, smartest thing you said on movie, Your Majesty. And then the second thing is, there's just a bit where he picks up and looks at the toys, and you really feel that he's just never got to play with one before.
He holds up a lightsaber.
Yeah, he holds up a lightsaber and he's fucking thrilled. He looks so happy to have it. And I really believed it. I really felt it in that moment. It was a great performance in that scene. Everything about it was terrible. Of the movie was. Apart from that scene, that was very good. Good job, that actor.
Well done,
But
Prince
also that
Edward.
says Star Wars exists in this universe.
Because there are lightsabers.
Yeah.
Oh, but Star Wars was filmed in Britain, so
It's
there
filmed
must
in
have
Belgravia.
filmed in Belgravia.
Wait, Belgravia's industry just seems to be Christmas.
It actually does.
And cake competitions.
Christmas is our primary export.
But also, like, their big TV studios is called Wembley, so it's just like England with all the names mixed up.
Maybe it's like we lost the war and Belgravia is the United Kingdom.
But why is there so much snow?
Because
Global warming!
Because they moved us to Switzerland.
No, it's climate change. That was the real enemy.
Anyway, Nick, what was your final thought?
Oh yes. My final thought is that I look forward to Netflix commencing with the Christmas Princess cinematic universe, culminating in the Prisvengers, where they have to save Christmas from Krampus while also everyone changes places. That's what I want. Yeah. Merry Christmas, hopefully. And applause. All the applause. There's so much applause.